and we're live, and there is controversy at the moment between me.
Controversy, that's
controversy.
Awesome. Yeah, just say controversy for 30 minutes straight. That'll be better than
the controversy being that in order to balance out Jeff and Morgan's score, I'm giving this 30 out of 10. Right, so
Morgan didn't actually give it a score.
Yeah, well, I'm giving it 30.
He said something about negative scores, but
right.
But you gotta say what you know. Well, never mind. Whatever. It's your video. You can do whatever.
Right. Okay. Here we go. Paranoid nutter Coser has done a runner from the Federation with his highly plausible invention I.M.I.P.A.K, induced molecular instability projector and key. It's a gun which marks its victim and can then kill them at any time by remote control. Naturally, Servalan wants it back and employs a psycho-strategist named Carnell to assist her. Meanwhile, Aurak has told Blake and the others about the gun, and they try to get it before Servalan. Right. So, they put some joke things in here. I don't remember Terrence Stamp being in it.
He might as well have been. Then he could have blown everyone for 10 minutes.
Eh? A porno?
Superman 2, where the supervillain.
Oh, blow! I thought you meant blowjob. Blimey.
Yeah, see, why you got to go there, Ben? You got to be dirty mind, you know. I just mean they blew with their mouths.
Right. Okay. Right. We go. Yeah. So by Chris Boucher, I'm sticking up for Chris. Right. In a nutshell, migraine-inducing gun-ho red spot clone mayhem. Well, you said it did give you a headache.
They got that right. It gave me a headache. That's
this
right.
book is in line with you.
Plot twist. I actually wrote the book. I've seen all of these before. It's a big lie.
Right, so there you go. Can you read them?
Read what?
The text on screen.
Yeah. You want me to read it out loud?
Yeah, because then I can get your reaction.
Which part?
Oh, go with the first one. Blake's
clone. Clone is just as good an actor as he is. I don't know. He might be better. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, but the beginning was I mean, I just go in so many directions. The beginning was confusing with like it's Blake, then it's not Blake, it's a clone, but there's another clone. But then because Travis, who wasn't really Travis, killed the fake Blake clone thing, that I thought it was a dream. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that it was some weird dream that either Blake or Travis were having.
That's because they replaced an actor with him completely different. So that wasn't their fault, though.
That's why I was like, is Travis having an odd dream where he looks different, or is Blake having a weird dream where there's this alternate Travis? Because he's paid no actual attention to what Travis looks like, and this is this is what his brain comes up with.
Yeah, and it's a completely different eye patch. I like the actor who played the previous one, Stephen Greif.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think he was like some fantastic. I mean, but he was all right, and this guy makes him look like, you know, Royal Shakespeare Company chief number one. I don't know.
Well, you see, he was a very good actor. Stephen Greif's done quite a few movies.
Now, that having been said, see, here's my compassionate side coming out. Even I say that, and I still feel for the guy because I think anybody who is a recast, there's automatically going to be some negativity thrown their way. That's not an easy thing to do, is to go into even a part that's not like the main character, but it still is significant enough that anybody who watched the first season is going to have the same reaction. Hey, that's not Travis, you know. And so he's got to deal with that, you know, taken over in a role is not easy to do. So, you know,
right.
I feel for that score.
Right, so the next paragraph.
Now I feel like I'm back in school. Read aloud, children. Lucky the clone masters managed to clone Blake's clothes as well, and pick the same outfit he happens to be wearing in this story. So that's better than I read when I was a kid. But Yeah.
Now,
You.
this is the bit I like. This is such an in-joke. Now, the guy that played Coser was John Bennett. Right?
Okay, so it is.
Yeah,
It is
but,
the guy.
but the thing is, what they've
I
done
forget
here...
his name because it wasn't. I haven't seen that in forever. His name wasn't Wing Chiang. That was the other guy, but I forgot what his name was.
Okay. In Talons of Wenxiang, John Bennett was playing a Chinaman.
Yeah, he's not really
Right?
Chinese. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So you had a white guy playing a Chinese guy. What they've done with this is they switched it round. You'd never believe John Bennett is Chinese. The makeup is amazing.
Right.
So they're saying that the actor's Chinese playing a white guy.
Yeah, I get it. Also, not that I care. I'm not Mr. Politically Correct guy or whatever, but apparently, Chinaman is now considered like a, not a good thing to say about Chinese people.
Well, actually, in cricket, there's a delivery that's still called a Chinaman, and it's still called that.
Well, okay, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like actual Chinese people. See, the only reason I even knew that is because it came up when Yao Ming was in the NBA when he was a rookie, and there was a game where one of the announcers referred to him as a Chinaman, and then a whole bunch of negativity came on it. This was before Twitter, so it would have been even worse if it had been in the days of Twitter. But he took a lot of heat for saying that, but he apologized and said he wasn't aware that was like a negative thing to say, whatever. I wasn't either, so Again, it's not my. I'm not Mr. PC Police. I'm just saying.
Okay.
I've heard that. So.
Right. Oh. It's just that a left arm wrist spinner is called. Anyway, and the reason why it's called a Chinaman delivery is that it was by someone who was Chinese in the West Indies. Right. So. Industrial complex time. This episode takes place during Federation Collar Week. The height of a collar is in direct proportion to that character's competence. Travis has only got a little one. Servalan's is large and ornate, and oh so feminine. And Coser's and Rachel's are so enormous they turn back on themselves for fear of breaking their owners' necks. These are clearly the baddest of badassery. These two are clearly the baddest of badassery. Travis has completed his transition from feared space bastard to Servalan's pet monkey on a rope. Kathleen Byron's under the mistaken impression that Servalan's French. Which came first, the acronym or the actual name? I.M.I.P.A.K hardly trips off the tongue.
Yeah, actually, the way she said it was better. It sounded cooler than the normal way, which sounds like some sort of reptile or something.
Okay. Carnell will go on to feature in the Caldor City plays, also written by Boucher, and in the novel Corpse Marker, which the Doctor is in. Carnell... What? No, it's in the back of the book, the Liberation book. It explains.
I know, I'm asking you, have you read it?
No, I've not.
Okay.
I don't read Doctor Who novels.
All right, then. Well, eventually I'll probably listen to it because
I thought you'd ordered. Yeah, I thought you'd ordered. Oh right, I thought you'd ordered. Is it an audio book or have they adapted it into a play? Because
yeah, it's an audio book.
Right, because I remember you saying.
I don't remember who reads it, but they recently added it to Audible, because even though it's an audio book, it was done by Big Finish, I think. So they added a bunch of Big Finish stuff. They didn't have their Big Finish stuff before. They only had like the BBC audio books. The ones that were like done by the BBC.
So yeah, that book it's a proper Doctor Who story, Fourth Doctor story, and Carnell is in that one because he's on the run from the Federation, as you see from this episode. He's done a runner. When Carnell dismisses the officer from Servalan's office, how does the door know to open before anyone's moved? You noticed that on the commentary.
Yeah, Morgan did. Yeah, Morgan was the one who said it opened before he moved anywhere near it. Well, obviously, it can read minds. They've got that technology, too.
Servalan's wardrobe is a game of two halves. One moment, an ill-fitting crop top. The next moment, all-white witch. She has no concept of subtlety. Now, this says I.M.I.P.A.K is a wholly flawed concept on its own. I think it's fantastic, but thrown into a Medallion Man clone story, it's taken science fiction to a ludicrous point. Right, and then we've got this book is more in line with you than me. If Travis can mark each Liberator crew member with I.M.I.P.A.K, then surely he could just shoot them. No,
It's like that scene where like they all could have just shot each other. Like they all just talked about killing each other, and then nobody actually did.
Yeah, what? Wait a minute. If we're going to play that story, Doctor Who should be dead.
Well, yeah.
The Doctor should be dead.
The only reason that the Doctor and his companions aren't dead is because every alien they ever encounter is moved slowly. So if they ever encountered something that moved fast, they'd be dead in an instant.
Yeah, but also it's like Davros doesn't kill them, or like when they return again, you know. So certain things are a given, and it's up to the writer to.
Oh yeah. But you know,
try and get around it.
But there are ways that you can do effective standoffs that don't come across as ridiculous as that did.
Well, one of the problems there was industrial action, and the director was in a rush to get it done before there was a strike.
Man, it sure didn't seem like it, because it seemed like it dragged on forever.
Okay. Right, here we go. Note how you can see Croucher closing his covered eye when he aims. Force of habit. Blake's clone protects Rochelle by grabbing her chest lumps. That was not true. If Coser's so brilliant, why does he dress like evil Uncle Abanazar?
I don't know who that is, but yeah, everyone was dressed horribly in this episode. That was
What about the chick, though? I thought she looked good.
I need to quote the great Simon Cowell from American Idol and many other things, but that's what he's probably best known for. There was one it was Clay Aiken performed the song Grease on the second American Idol. Yeah. And Simon Cowell's quote was, "Everything about that was horrible." And that was like with this, except for, okay, I have to say, the explosion at the very beginning. That was the only good thing in this episode. Everything else.
What about Jenna, and what about the chick playing Michelle?
What about them?
Well, you like Jenna.
Well, yeah, I mean, Jenna's still attractive, but even she had an awful outfit.
What, in this one?
Yeah. Oh. If they'd gotten rid of that mesh mess on the front of it, it might have been all right. You know, the blue itself wasn't too bad, but everything about this, like that thing about the, whatever it said, it's not off the screen now, but the thing about the collars, it's like it wasn't just collars, it was just all these ridiculous, like, attachments to things. And
well, Servalan not bad, but let's have a look at...
Yeah, she'd, like, put on some birds halfway through, and...
Oh, these things here.
Yeah, what the hell are those supposed to be?
What was wrong?
It was like they were competing with each other. Let's add some sparkly bits, then a few things here, then draw a line down the center of this woman. Somebody was insane when they were designing this costume.
Well, you know who it was? What did I say about that costume designer, June Hudson? Hey?
Is that a different designer than the rest of the show?
That's the one that did it in this season, June Hudson.
Okay.
She comes up with these wacky costumes.
Yeah, well, we were saying like that Avon looked weird enough with the aluminum foil he had on the last episode.
And this one,
he starts out wearing just a black shirt, and then that turns into they stop by and kill a giant red lizard and have
that's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's June Hudson. Got the lizard costume there. Right, here we go. Right.
No, I said during the episode, this was like somebody wrote a parody of Blake 7, except it wasn't funny.
Right, okay.
Because the whole thing is, it's sort of like there was a really overrated episode of Doctor Who among the fangirls of David Tennant, a story called Girl in the Fireplace. And I said it was awful because it basically like mocks everything Doctor Who was.
Yeah.
But at least that, had its moments. But this really, like I said, besides that explosion, it was pretty worthless.
Right. Okay. For me, this is the moment, and that is the gun. the idea of the gun. And I'll go through why this gun is so good.
Okay, all right, by all means.
Right, so for instance, and then I'll let you rip into it more. Right, not just the gun, I.M.I.P.A.K, induced molecular instability projector and key. And then he explains why it's so good. This is the projector. It'll work on anything living. You see, it's like a gun and it projects a potential. An unstable molecular potential in the part of the victim that you hit. The beauty of it is that unless they see you do it, or you tell them that you've done it, they don't even know it's happened. And that kills them? No. This kills them. This is the key. Alright. When they're in range of this and you press that, it triggers the unstable molecules' death at the press of a button. I see. And then you get the implications of why it's so good. What do you mean you see? Aren't you impressed? Look, once you hit them with this, there's nothing they can do to remove the spot. It's there for as long as they live, and you decide how long that is. This has a range of up to 1,000,000 miles. Just think of it. You set the range here, and if he's within 1,000,000 miles, you can kill a marked man anytime you want without ever seeing him again. Or you can leave a whole series of these in various places, ready triggered, and he'll kill himself whenever he comes within range of one. Or you can tell him that they're there, and you can be certain he'll never go where you don't want him to go. Selected victims, groups, whole populations, you can be like God. I loved it, and then he hands it over to him. And then, so that's part of the reason why I like the episode. And then the other part is...
So are you saying you're a sadist?
A what?
A sadist?
I say, no. This is an NT thing. So I really like the weapon.
It's an NT thing to have fantasies about killing people from 1,000,000 miles away. And
No. It's just the idea. It's just the idea is cool. Of the weapon.
And Mr. Burns would be proud.
And he would love to have the gun. But it's how the story is resolved. The fact that you've got Blake is marked, Avon is marked, Gan is marked. How did they get out of it? Well, the only way they can get out of it is... So Servalan presses that key and they all die. But the only way to get out of it is what they did is that Rochelle, she marks Servalan. So Servalan can never press the button. Because if she presses the button, she'll kill herself. And of course, eventually Rochelle and Blake get the device. And so they can't come anywhere near them. And so the weapon guards itself. So it's a great weapon. Now, on the downside, there is rather a lot of scenes involving Travis, bad Travis, or the lesser Travis, and Servalan. They're not as well written as in.
Yeah, it seems like there are hardly any scenes actually with the Liberator's crew, and the ones that are, they seem bored and disinterested, just like I was. They don't seem like they really care that much. I mean, the clone of Blake at least has an excuse. He's a clone.
Yeah.
The real Blake doesn't really seem that much more interested than the clone does.
This is one of the problems.
I guess the one exception was Squirrely. He actually seemed pretty much how he always is, but everybody else seemed like they were taking a vacation this week.
Fair enough, and you can get that with guest writers. Is what happens is, I mean, so many shows have had it like someone would write a Star Trek script, and they don't use the regular cast, or somebody writes for a show. You've got to use the regular cast. Don't just bring in characters, your own characters. If you want to do that, write a novel on your own with your own characters. So.
Yeah, and once you introduce the concept that the Federation people have the ability to create clones of people, and then it just like it's kind of just like ORAC is another sort of plot device of like, well, it's a MacGuffin in a way. Like we can use ORAC to be pretty much anything we want it to be, and now we can create clones, and so it starts to become like Q on Star Trek was, this character, or Star Trek: The Next Generation was like this character that seemed to have some, sort of limitless power, but then he was sort of limited in some ways. Where the Celestial Toy Maker on the Doctor Who was kind of like that. Where you create this sort of thing that basically can be whatever you want it to be, then it's kind of a cop out for your show as a writing thing. If you're no longer bound by the rules of your own universe because you create this thing that trumps that, then it's sort of a lazy way out of things.
Well, yeah, there's Ex Machina. But you see, ORAC wasn't used to solve the problem in the previous episode. It was the source of the problem. Because
that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's being used the same way every time, but I'm just saying they've set it up where basically nobody knows what ORAC can actually do. So for the writing purposes, ORAC can do whatever they want him to do. They could have the next episode be, ORAC can make, planets disappear. I mean, there's nothing you can say, oh, well, that's too ridiculous, because you basically set it up to be this, device of whatever power it happens to have.
Right, so I also, what I didn't like the way Travis was written. And it says here that he was actually written for the previous actor as well.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't just, that the actor wasn't as good. I agree sort of with what the book was joking about. They made him like, but of course that sort of did that previously. He did act kind of wimpier from the earlier episode when he went down to the planet with the Supreme Commander. Like in that one, he was a little bit more that way. But at least he still kind of had that cool exterior going, whereas this dude didn't have that either. And it was written to be, a part of me blames the director, and I didn't pay attention to who directed this episode, but it seems like that. Yeah, that they could have said, knock off the nonsense with everything being this, attempt to be William F. Buckley. Let's lean back in the chair and grin smugly for 10 minutes or whatever. Like that character. I like the dude. He's effectively creepy. The guy that was in Image of the Fendal. I forgot his name in this, but
Scott Fedorowicz. No.
But his character was like useless in this.
Yeah, I should have. I thought I was sharing screen then. Sorry about that. But yeah, this guy here, Scott Fredericks, and he's actually in the actual actor who played Carnell. He's in the Cawdor City Plays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not a bad actor. It's just that, in fact, like I said, he's effectively creepy. Like I've only seen him in this and Doctor Who, and in both parts he played this kind of creepy guy. And he's good at doing that, but the character like added nothing to what was already a garbage plot to begin with. Like, it was just, I don't even know what the hell his point was. What was he even doing?
Well, he was the psycho-strategist. He was the one that engineered.
Psycho-strategist.
He was the one that engineered the whole situation with the clone.
So he's to blame.
Right. So do you know what the plot was?
Barely.
Right, okay.
Barely.
Right, okay. Here we go. Right then. This is
duration 51:41. That's 51 hours and 41 minutes, right?
Right, okay. Here we go. This is the plot. Coser, a beta-grade technician working at a Federation weapons development base, has succeeded in developing a new weapon, I.M.I.P.A.K. When his role in its development is ignored, Coser steals his own invention and with the slave girl Rochelle, whom he has liberated, makes for a deserted planet. Upon arriving, he destroys his own ship and camps out in the ruins of an old settlement. Elsewhere, Servalan is planning to use Coser to capture Blake. She makes a deal with the highly independent clone masters who operate a cloning cartel. At least 2 clone Blakes are developed. The first is destroyed by Travis when he mistakes it for the real thing in a test by Servalan, and the second is taken to the planet on which Coser is hiding. Servalan is aided in this venture by Carnell, a psychostrategist who is able to make accurate predictions of the neurotic behavior of Coser. Carnell suggests that Coser will be in such a terrible state from loneliness that he will be overjoyed to see the unreal Blake, his hero, and will hand I.M.I.P.A.K over willingly. Carnell ventures further. When a second Blake appears, Coser will go mad. Blake, having heard of the security alert on the weapons development base, follows up the theft of I.M.I.P.A.K by heading for the planet where Coser is hiding. Coser has already handed I.M.I.P.A.K over to the clone Blake, and Travis uses it to shoot Blake and members of the Liberator crew. However, there will be no effect until the key trigger mechanism is pressed, something that can be delayed for years if need be. Servalan lets the crew of the Liberator escape, knowing that the I.M.I.P.A.K key cannot only be triggered over great space spans, but can also over great distances. Oh yeah, time spans, but also over great distances. She also knows that Travis has been shot by the weapon, and that when the key is used, he too will die. However, before any action can be taken, Servalan and Travis are forced to hand over the weapon to clone Blake and Rochelle, who vow never to depress the key and set about building a home on their new planet. Servalan and Travis escape, but Carnell, realizing he has failed, leaves Servalan a rather flattering message before deserting the Federation and headed into the Doctor Who universe.
Doctor Who universe? What?
Yep. What do you mean? It's the Doctor. Same character. Carnell, the psychostrategist on run from the Federation. Yep. That's part. Yep. Yep. He's the only crossover character.
Well, not really.
Well, from Blake 7 and Doctor Who.
Oh, okay. I mean, I don't know if that's that significant. It's not like it was actually on the show.
It's the worlds though. It's the Whoniverse. I don't know what they call the Blake 7 universe, the Blakeiverse. I don't know.
Well, I mean, yeah, the Whoniverse, according to some people, includes some show that was called like Jim Will Fix It or something like that, which the
no. That's ridiculous. That's going too far.
That's going too far.
In fact, my Whoniverse doesn't include Colin Baker. No, actually, it does. It just doesn't include the new ones.
You can just define your own.
It does include Colin Baker because Perry's in it, and I like Perry, and you like Perry as well. Perry, thumbs up.
I tell you, the hottest that Perry might have ever been is on one of the audio stories. It's pretty amazing. They do a great job of the imagery.
Right. So let's go back to the. Right, Carnell. Here we go. They've got some more of the. Right. Here we go. Carnell has no reason to act so smugly. His collar's fallen down. Here we go. Industrial complexes of the future have I've done it again. I've not shared the screen when I should have. There we go. There we go. Industrial complexes of the future have 20th century British road markings. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The whole place is besieged by birds too. We counted a blackbird, a thrush, and a starling chirping away in the background, and a great tit every time Travis appeared. The filming location is Lowcock's Lemonade Factory in Gaul. I don't know if that's true. What have we got here? Oh yeah, there was a good line. There was good lines in this. Flipping heck. On Aron may be different, Callie, but on Earth it is considered ill-mannered to kill your friends while committing suicide. We do not know what I.M.I.P.A.K is. I can live without it. It's just conceivable that you can't. Unless, of course, you want your last words to be, so that's I.M.I.P.A.K. Carnell to Servalan, you're undoubtedly the sexiest officer that I ever known.
That was one of the most cringe-worthy lines of the whole thing. The only good line they didn't even mention was when Callie actually like stands up for herself for for a change and like disses Villa for being stupid.
Yeah.
Which I don't even remember the line. I just remember it was like, oh snap, she told him.
Right. You won't know who Fred West is. Even Fred West's defense lawyer was more convincing that the creature that attacks Coser and Michelle. Right. Oh, we gone through all that. I'm sure I got through the right one. Right then. Yes. So there wasn't enough Avon in it. Essentially, not enough Avon.
There's not enough of a lot of stuff, including stuff that isn't boring.
Oh, okay. Why? Right. So you kept saying. So I keep taking these aerial shots because you were saying that he wasn't there. Isn't that like the normal size for it?
I don't know. I've lost track by now.
The C10.
Yeah.
Didn't. What did I do?
It may have settled into a regular pattern. I'm not sure. But it was smaller, larger, and moved over depending on what they needed for certain episodes.
Right. I thought she looked good. You know what I actually predicted? I thought Morgan liked her.
He did refer to her as cute.
Yeah.
The Supreme Commander would look better if she had longer hair. I don't dig the short hair.
Yeah, fair enough. So what about that line as well? It's not a question of sides, villain. No, it's a question of intelligence. So your opinion has very little relevance. I mean, that's the kind of put down that a lot of INTJs are going to think, I'm using that.
Yeah, he was just stating the obvious.
There we go. Again, you got the Liberator set shot from high or above. Now, the thing I dislike most about this set is this thing here. This is very badly made. This.
And there was something I glanced down, so I missed it. There's something where Morgan said they zoomed in on something that made it look worse, and I don't remember what he was talking about.
Was it the gun?
I don't remember. It was just before the scene where the curly-haired dude was like freaking out.
The curly-haired dude.
Yeah. I mean, the only other guy in the episode that wasn't like one of the main people was that curly-haired dude. The one that
The one was talking to Carnell.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't grab that.
It's like it zoomed in on something, and I missed it because I looked.
Oh yes, would have been the chess set, wouldn't it?
And Morgan just said it made it look cheaper or whatever than it already looked, or something like that.
Yeah, because it was a contemporary chess set from the time. It would have been like about a 1978-79 chess set. Yeah, I didn't know the bit I didn't understand about the story was this bit, when he goes, justify stupid.
Well, I don't know why he said that thing, but I think he was trying to say, well, you were the one that said that an attack wasn't stupid, and then you just said it was. So he was trying to like catch him in like bad logic or whatever.
Yeah, but the way he played it though, that's more like his natural personality, Paul Darrow, where he goes like over the top.
Well, yeah, it seemed like it was a gotcha thing, but for whatever reason he said it that way. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. I like this close-up. Right. I just thought it was well framed. Right. Again, this really is the ersatz Travis. Uh,
I don't know what that means.
it means a poor quality replacement.
Okay. Yeah.
And the eye patch is different than on the previous. Yes, these scenes, they didn't actually need these scenes with the Clone Master. All they had to do was say, oh, you know, we've got that clone of Blake. Okay, very good. Did the Clone Masters do it? Yeah. That's it. And also the music that they had that just dragged on and on, the choral music.
Yeah.
That they used about 4 or 5 times.
That's where it started to go downhill. Like the explosion at the beginning was, you know, and then it just went all downhill from there with the choral music and the.
Yeah, I remember that. I was
Was
listening to their commentary.
the
Folks.
rule of life is to clone people. And then I wasn't sure if she was when she said the thing about trust, if that was a backhanded thing. She really thought you don't trust anybody, or what was she trying to say there?
Well, duh. I mean, by the way she said it, you can tell what the context was. That she doesn't trust her.
Yeah.
You're a feeler, Jeff. You can pick that up. Hey, Blake's got a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think they had these pens. They don't have these pens. They used to have those at the time. Like they used to have these weird pens that would go on the screen, didn't they? Do you remember that?
Well, like a light pen.
Yeah, like a pen that would go on the screen.
Yeah, my one of my dad's computers had a light pen thing that you could. There was actually like some kids game or whatever that he had where you could basically draw on the screen with it.
Right, that might be it. This was the thing. This might have been the thing Morgan was complaining about, because that was the chess set that.
Yeah, maybe I'm not sure. Since he couldn't stomach being here for the review,
Right.
so
It says Chess Challenger on it,
mm-hmm.
so it's probably a real game.
One of those teach yourself chess games or something. Yeah, that just looks creepy right there. It says she's about to eat you, and she's got like Christmas ornaments behind her head.
Look,
Like she ran through a Christmas tree.
well, she had some psychiatric problems. I mean, she is only in her late 30s there, but she looks a bit older.
Well, anybody can look older when you get them in a certain look, where you can see all the wrinkles and stuff. So.
Yeah, and the harsh lighting.
I mean, in that other picture you had earlier, where she was facing the other direction, she looked a lot better. So.
Yeah, and the harsh lighting in the 70s, which she didn't actually need, because Genesis of the Daleks was directed by David Maloney, rest in peace. He actually got the lighting down on that one. And then we got the.
Yeah, I actually saw this video once that was talking about the importance of music and setting the mood and stuff, and it showed a scene from Genesis of the Daleks from what the actual the music they used in the show, when basically at the point where Davros had sent the Daleks out to kill everybody.
Yeah.
And they had that menacing music playing, and then they replayed the scene, but then changed the music, so it was like this goofy kind of Benny Hill type sounding stuff.
Yeah.
It was like like suddenly you're like, see, it's no longer menacing. Now it's like it's some kind of kids game.
I mean, given the material that he had, I think that was brilliantly directed, because
yeah.
Make everything dark, put the cameras really low to try and make the Daleks look as big as possible.
Yeah. So if you're watching this, then that Genesis of the Daleks would be an example of the absolute antithesis of this episode of Blake Sabbath, because it was actually good, like pretty much all the way through. Like there might have been, a couple of points that weren't fantastic, but most of it was really, really good. So
right, okay, let's drill down on this. So which bits weren't good?
What, of Genesis?
No, this story.
This story, all of it.
Yeah. Okay.
They committed the cardinal sin, which is to be boring. Like, it's one thing. Like the last one was weird, and so it was like kind of off-putting, because it's like there's this bizarre stuff, but then you can kind of find some moments that, okay, this part isn't quite as insane, so it's a little bit better. But this one was just flat out boring. I mean, I was drifting off like 7 times during I mean, I'm like waiting for something actually interesting or exciting or fun or anything to happen.
Which
It just was like nothing.
which bits were the most boring?
I don't know how to quantify most boring. I mean,
Which scenes?
I get probably the ones between the Supreme Commander and her psycho whatever you said he was.
Travis.
Because yeah, no, not Travis, the other guy. I mean, the Travis scenes were boring too. It was all boring, but that guy was just like, all he did was like make conceit is not the right word, but like arrogant, kind of smug statements about things, and then she would say things, and they would smile way too long, and then it was just like this bizarre awkwardness with no. I mean, nothing they said was interesting in any way. It was just like boring.
Right, because it was related to the plot, not enough of the emotion stuff. All the scenes with the psycho strategist Carnell were related to the plot.
It's like he's just sitting back like, oh, well, if you do, I will still tell you that blah, blah, blah is going to fall off a cliff, and then we will go to the store, and then this will happen.
Because because they're both flirting with each other. They're both like NFJs.
If that's how they flirt, then I don't know. I don't want to be a part of that relationship at all.
What's NFJs? That probably both. I think that character is probably an ENFJ. And
I don't know. I think you have to have an actual personality to have a type.
yeah, I mean, he's not coming across as the greatest actor in the world.
He just comes across as some pompous guy who thinks he knows everything.
I think it is let down by the acting. I like the. Okay, a couple of things I would have changed. This actress, although pretty, is not the best actress in the world.
I would eliminate the sideburns, though.
What, on her?
Yeah.
They may have done that. She might have had sticky outy ears. I'm not sure.
That's a good phrase. Yeah, keep that sticky outy. I don't think I've heard that before. That was a good one.
Now, this performance I liked. I didn't mind his costume. One thing I would have changed is I would have made the relationship with the slave girl. I would have made a lot nicer, and not just him being a douche all the while, because that put Morgan off.
Yeah,
he was saying things like, "What?"
They should have defeated him by pouring hot wax into his funnel.
But like, I remember Morgan saying things like, "Why should I care about him? He treats her like."
Yeah, well, I mean, any of them. Like, I mean, she was just. Yeah, he's like, I freed you. Don't call me sir, but then I'm gonna treat you like garbage the whole time anyway. Like, okay. So, yeah, how would he have treated her if she was actually a slave? Like, this is the free version. This is me treating you with respect. If you were a slave, I'd just be whipping you the whole time.
So the problem with those scenes maybe was he's treating her badly, and she's acting bad in return, or acting unconvincingly.
I actually had when they first showed up, I had a glimmer of hope that they were going to do something interesting. And then it's when it switched to the whole stuff with the clones and where, like I said, it seemed like a dream sequence. And so I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt and be like, okay, somebody's going to wake up from this bizarre dream, and then the real thing gets going. You know, the Federation's using some kind of mental thing, because they already established that they got some kind of weird mental thing going on with, they erased his memory before and stuff like that. So he could have been having some sort of weird flashback or something that, made him think of this. And then, I'm thinking of these ways that at that point it could have still been salvaged as a good story, but it just got, it never got interesting. It was just boring the whole time.
What I think happened was Chris Boucher came up with this idea for a gun. and he thought, this is absolutely genius, right?
And he was
But he
wrong.
built the story. No, but the gun is genius, but he built a story around it and realized, although it's a great gun and it's a nice ending with putting the thing on the padding the material, he should have really reduced the scene, more scenes with the regular crew talking about the gun, and
Yeah, I think more scenes with the regular crew doing something interesting would have actually been better.
Okay, come up with a parallel plot as well,
rather than talking about the gun. Because like the last episode, that the book said something about a Fisher Price toy.
Yeah,
and that was pretty much the gun was another Fisher Price toy. So
yeah. I mean, it's not. It's that one's not Boucher's fault. That's the props department.
It's like that's what All right, it's great for the kids, I'm sure. Like have like a toy gun, and then your little remote control thing.
Yeah, that looks a bit.
Like I said, I mean, to me, if you're like a sadist of some kind, you fantasize about killing people in really bizarre ways, and like, oh, I can do it, and they don't even know. Like if that kind of thing turns you on, then I guess that's genius to you. But to me, it's just like it comes across as kind of morbid. Not morbid. That's not the right word, but just like I said, sadistic. Like instead of just killing somebody, you're gonna like, oh, I'll delay their death until I can use it in the best way.
The bit I like about it is all the stuff about you can make people go in this direction, you can stop them going in this part of space, you can all of that kind of stuff.
I think maybe if they had explored more of that and not had all the rest of it, again, I'm trying to think of ways they could have salvaged.
I see what you mean. That's right. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if they'd made the weapon about that. I've got this device that can basically make me sort of able to, kind of move the chess pieces around. I mean, they had the chess set, so they can kind of use that as a little whatever that word is, not allegory, but like like foreshadowing or whatever. It's like this is sort of the way you've assembled everything, but they don't even really get into that, other than that one little speech that he gives about becoming a god or whatever. But
I think Terry Nation would have done it like that. He might have done it like that, like moving people around, like them trying to outrun the signal from the gun.
Yeah, because I mean, that kind of thing, I started to think of something like in Doctor Who, they had the Abominable Snowman, where the the intelligence was using the old monk guy and kind of moving the pieces on the board to strategize how he was doing his operation. So
I've not seen that story yet.
Oh, you never have?
No.
No, it's a pretty good one. I mean, I actually like the follow-up to it, The Web of Fear, a little bit better, but
I've not seen that either. I've got the DVD, but I've not seen it.
Yeah, I haven't. I've actually not seen the missing episodes yet, because I've got it, and I started watching. I saw episode 1, which I'd seen before, which is a great first episode. It's one of the better openings, because to me, it's like I showed it to somebody who had never seen Doctor Who before, and most of the time I always go with, we'll start from the beginning. But this particular person is a fan of like kind of old black and white horror movie type stuff. So I said, well, if you're going to approach a fan of that with a Doctor Who episode, The Web of Fear is like the perfect one just to show them, because the first episode kind of seems like that. It's like combination sci-fi horror movie type of thing. Anyway.
Right.
Yeah, she looks pretty good in that picture. Yeah, I don't know. I think overall I don't really like the design of the weapons on this show. They just do come off very plastic toyish.
That's the BBC.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why, I would notice that more than, say, Doctor Who, where I'm sure there were plenty of them that were like that, but for whatever reason, I don't know. Maybe it again is the presentation. Maybe it's because Doctor Who, they aimed it at younger viewers, and so it's easier to forgive things maybe. And it seems like with this show, they started out kind of making it more adult, and then it gets goofier. And when you do that, it would work probably worked more the other way around, because I think that's
Right.
what Doctor Who did. It's like
Well-
it started sort of kids show, and then they started to make it appeal more to adults later on. And in this show, so far, it almost seems like the opposite is happening.
Right. Okay. Oh dear. There's a really nice, well-made gun in season 4.
All right. Well, I'll look forward to that.
See, what I thought. This is what I thought Morgan would think.
Count down the days.
Oh, she's cute, and I love the gun. That's what I thought his reaction would be.
Well, you got 1 out of 2. Because he did say she was cute, but he didn't say anything about the gun that I remember.
But I can certainly see how people can go, oh, he's a bit creepy.
Yeah, that dude. He's good at being creepy. I'll give him that. I mean, he's not a bad actor. He was effective in the smug, pompous, weirdo part that they gave him.
And this guy's not as good as Stephen Greif. And what happened was Stephen Greif was he's done quite a few things. He didn't want to continue in Blake 7 because he wanted the character to improve, and he was offered a film in Spain with a nice location. He called it a plum job, right? Great weather, and so he took and he couldn't do the film and Blake 7, so he decided to do the film instead of Blake 7.
Yeah, it might be my experience as a soap opera fan, but I almost all the time hate recasts. Like, I would rather if an actor leaves, they just get rid of the character. And I know obviously there are cases where it may be in this. I don't know how big of an outline that Terry Nation had written. How much Travis was a part of what he envisioned for the show. Maybe he really thought, well, I can't get rid of this character. But to me, in that case, I would have just killed him off. Yeah.
Like, hey, before you leave, can you do one scene where we shoot you?
Of course, Colin Baker refused to do that. But anyway, that's getting ahead of ourselves because you haven't seen the Doctor Who, that point of Doctor Who yet. So anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't like Travis in this story. He's sort of...
Yeah, I mean, he's not. You could still, like, with the universe they've set up, you still got plenty of other villains you could have. And I know maybe they thought, okay, well, we want to have some ultimate showdown with Travis and Blake later in the show or something. But, you could always, like, okay, you kill him off, and then later on you say, well, that was a clone, and you convince the other actor to come back for one episode and have the showdown or something. There'd be ways around that besides just having a terrible replacement.
Especially when this is a show, and that thing he's doing is a film, so he can come back. So you didn't even have to kill him off. You just send him away somewhere. You can be like, hey, you can do this film and come back, right?
He's trapped in an ice prison until then or something.
Like, there's multiple ways time-wise, because a film, you'll be shooting for that length of time. The show will keep going. So
yeah,
there's just going to be like episodes.
Well, while you're here, Morgan, do you have any other comments to make about this episode? Because Ben seems quite flabbergasted that I thought it was that terrible, but
he found it not funny. I found it hilariously terrible. I thought I kept laughing in most of the
I mean, I did a few scoff laughing. Most of it I just thought it was boring. I was like waiting for something fun to happen, and it just never did.
Like, because just the comedy of how bad it was in and of itself, just trash. Like the whole long, excruciatingly long feeling scene between Commander, what's her name, in the stupid outfits and the stupid smirking all over the place, along with other dude who's also smirking.
Yeah, I talked about that earlier. Like, I was like,
this guy.
That's just painful.
Yeah, it was so hard to watch. It just kept going.
He said, well, they were flirting with each other. And I'm like, well, if that's their flirting, I do not want any part of that relationship.
Yeah, that's what he said at the end. I was like, what? This was supposed to be like some, like,
Yeah, that was the most cringeworthy line by itself.
Well,
out of nowhere.
I think what it was is, like, it's all this plot-heavy dialogue, and they were trying to make it more interesting by flirting with each other.
It was more interesting.
The thing is, it wasn't. I disagree with you. I disagree with you that it was plot-heavy dialogue. It was useless banter-heavy dialogue, is what it was.
Yeah, they didn't plot heavy anything. There was
What?
no plot. There was no plot heavy.
I mean, the plot heavy
There's hardly a
dialogue
plot.
was the old crazy guy explaining his gun. That was really the only plot heavy dialogue, and it was really only like
but
one main scene where he did that.
But the things with Servalan was all about all the moving pieces into place and all of the plotting. Because he's the guy that engineered the situation. But he didn't take into account that he took Rachel with him. He thought he would be on his own. He thought Coser would be on his own.
All right.
I mean, I understood that. This is weird. Like, I understand these things, but it's not obvious or critical enough that it's, like, apparent or necessary. Because you could easily have that same plot without that dude, and you could easily have a better plot with that dude, or without him.
Yeah, that's what I said. He's like, he seemed basically useless. Like, if you're saying, okay, I rely on this guy to tell me what to do, and you still botch it that badly.
Yeah, it's like...
Like, I needed his help to screw it up this badly. Without him, I just would have shot myself, because I would have been spinning around in a circle going, I would have accidentally marked myself as soon as I touched it. Oh, crap, I should have consulted that psychoanalyst guy. Where was I without him? Real Travis, come back.
Shout out to Real Travis.
Yeah, wherever he may be.
Oh yeah, and then on the next page, I suggested that Coser was a beta grade technician because he was an ISTP, and even though he was very clever, he didn't revise for his exams.
Yeah, I don't know what beta grade means, but I'll just say this whole episode was beta grade. If that...
Well, that's not that bad then, because that's a B.
All right.
Yeah, it's actually kinda high.
Yeah. Well, no, I have to say, I have to say, because, you know, the absolute worst grade I could possibly give something would be a 0, and I don't give this a 0 because there was no one like there was no blood and guts spilling everywhere. There was no people vomiting. There was nothing that was actually offensive. It was just incredibly boring. So I give it a 1 out of 10 because it was not completely devoid. Like, I mean, if you were to say, you know, would I rather watch this or like be tortured? I would rather watch this. So I still like, it wasn't painful to the point of like, I feel like I'm stupider for having watched it. It's not that bad, you know. It wasn't like I sat here and said, I feel the need to like rip my eyeballs out because I just, you know, saw this. I don't feel the need to stab myself repeatedly with things. I don't want to go out and like join some sort of monastery to try to get in touch with my spiritual side because I feel like my life has been meaningless up to this point. Like, there's no, you know, this episode didn't have such an impact on me that I'm going to like say I need to live in the wilderness and live off the land and hunt bears with my bare hands and stuff. It wasn't like that. It was better than that. So that's why I'd say 1 out of 10, because it was incredibly boring. I can't believe I even found this much to say about it, because it's like it really didn't even deserve that much. I mean, this feels like the video we've been doing about it is longer than the episode, which I already felt like it was really, really long. So, you know, I should probably go hit myself in the head with a board. No, wait, I won't do that because it wasn't a 0, it was a 1. So, you know, I just feel like that everybody just took a vacation and was replaced by crude dummies of themselves. It's just Travis was only the most obvious one. Like, everybody else's clone was well done enough that you couldn't quite get that they were all clones. Travis was the only one where you're like, wait a minute, he doesn't look quite right. I think there's something a bit odd about this. Yeah, Avon's clone made the only mistake there in that picture you showed where he suddenly did the weird gotcha moment on Squirrely. Like, that was the only time he revealed himself to be his clone. So, you know, and that in the real Avon probably wouldn't wear red lizard, but you know.
That freaking outfit. When I first saw it, like, decent outfit, Avon's outfit. What?
I'll get to it in a moment.
Personally, you know, I think I would have been like,
Decent
yeah,
in comparison.
that's interesting,
Yeah,
but I would have gone back to the aluminum foil so we can fake you.
There we go.
Yeah, he came pretty close. That previous picture.
Oh
came
yeah,
pretty
the
close to
lobster.
the
That's
test
it,
launch.
lobster. The lobster suit.
Well, yeah, but in the previous picture, go back to that last one.
Oh, you want the one where it was in black on the ship?
Yeah, no. The one you got right now. You were saying that he didn't do what the book said about grabbing her chest lumps.
Yeah, he
comes
didn't.
Pretty close to that. Yeah,
Yeah, but
that's what they were talking about.
he didn't actually grab the chest lumps, though.
No, he just does like a arm thing in front of her, like, I'm
Right.
not really feeling you up. I'm protecting you.
Right, then you
clone
got.
was. I think the Blake clone did a better job of flirting than either of those other two weirdos.
The one thing you didn't mess up was the fact that they're wearing the same clothes.
Like I said, right now it seems like a more interesting plot. Like I want to see the adventures of Slave Girl and Clone Blake.
That was supposed
Right
to be
now.
the entire thing.
It seems more attractive.
Yeah, they should have worked on the relationship between these two, where he wasn't such a.
In that vague time where people were all threatening to kill each other, they should have all shot each other.
Okay, have mercy on us, Ben. Mercy. I think it's time to end.
Okay, I'm taking the hint.
If you want to go on, that's fine. But it's time for me to go.
Okay. Now, folks, there's a little thing that Jeff starts doing when it's time to wind up. He starts patting his legs like that.
That was convoluted.
Yeah, that's a physical little fidget there that I.
Well, I got the explanation in about the gun, and I think maybe Chris Boucher fell in love with the idea of the gun because I love it as well. Right, it's goodbye from me.
Right. Bye. Join us next time for a hopefully better episode of Blake 7.
You'll probably like it more, and it's got a good Avon subplot in it. Oh, I spoilt it by saying it's good.